Hello, I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News, coming to you again from our digital desk. We want to have a conversation about a debate that is brewing, and it's something that could end up on the November 2024 ballot for you to decide. We're talking about tipped minimum wage. Let's be real clear here. There is a normal minimum wage in the state of Ohio, and this is the way it works in a lot of states. Right now, the current minimum wage in the state of Ohio is $10.45 an hour. But then there is a tipped minimum wage for bartenders, servers, and restaurants who get tips. Their minimum wage is currently set at $5.25 an hour. The idea is they're making tips on top of what they're getting paid per hour, and that gets them either at or even above the normal minimum wage. There is a national advocacy group called One Fair Wage. This is their website. They have launched a campaign in several states, including in Ohio, to get rid of that tipped minimum wage, that reduced minimum wage. Their website, as you see, Ohio deserves a fair, livable wage with tips on top. They've got some statistics. They show the $5.25 an hour that they currently get paid, that there are 1 million plus Ohioans that if they get rid of the tipped minimum wage would instantly go up to that $10.45 an hour. And they claim it will help every Ohioan get to that livable wage and out of poverty. Now, there is another side to this debate. Not everybody agrees with getting rid of that $5.25 and instantly pushing it to $10.45, namely the Ohio Restaurant and Hospitality Alliance. We're going to speak with John Barker. He is the president and CEO of the Ohio Restaurant and Hospitality Alliance. John, thanks for joining us. How are you today?
Good to see you, Dan.
This is, it's sort of an old discussion, but the fact that this may be moving to a ballot issue is really going to force all Ohioans to take a position on this. It's interesting to me, when I first saw your news release from the Ohio Restaurant and Hospitality Alliance, I would have thought, oh, well, for sure, they'll probably be for this. They want to see servers and bartenders get that $10.45 an hour pay. That's not the case. Why are you against this?
Well, think about it, we're here to represent everybody who works in the industry. The group that's pushing this is an advocacy group. They're based out of California. They are not from the industry. They're really pushing this along with the SEIU. This is, it's something that they're trying to push from the outside. We're representing the people that own the restaurants, the people that are servers, the bartenders, everybody that really works in the industry, and it's about 535,000 people in Ohio. So when this first came up and we were aware of this, we actually went out and started to talk to all the operators, all the servers, bartenders. We've done hundreds and hundreds of meetings in person all over the state. We were just did a bunch of meetings in Cleveland 2 days ago, the people, and after they understand how this works, they're asking us to try to stop it. They say, protect our tips. We're making the feedback we get, Dan, they get $27 an hour on average as a server or bartender. So they don't want this, right? Because this would, force up to the minimum wage, but then restaurants and bars, to cover those costs, it's very simple. They would have to raise menu prices and put a service charge on the bill. So, you order a hamburger and down at the end of everything, you'll now see a service charge raising your menu price. And when that happens, what we've seen in a few other places where this is passed, then tipping goes away. People don't tip on top of a much higher, and we're talking about 20 to 25% higher to cover those costs.
Yeah, when you think about taking the tipped minimum wage from $5.25 an hour to a little more than doubling up to $10.45 an hour, you would assume that restaurant owner is going to have to recoup that somewhere. We've already seen prices in restaurants. We've done stories on people tired of fast food prices just skyrocketing up. This idea, you brought it up. Do you honestly think customers would say, well, I'm just not going to tip anymore? Would that actually happen?
That's what we're seeing in places. It passed in Washington, D.C. It actually went to voters a couple times, and then it finally passed. But Washington, D.C. is for us, a little laboratory to see what's going to happen there. And already what's going on is fewer hours are available for servers because the restaurants can't afford to pay all this additional money. And if you know somebody that owns a restaurant, just ask them. Are you already under pressure on costs? And they're going to say, my goodness, my food costs are up about 25% the last 3 years. You know that when you go to the grocery store. Same thing for a restaurant. Labor's already up about 20% over the last 2.5 years. This would just be another layer of inflation on top of it. And it's just, kind of looking for a solution, doesn't need it. The servers don't want it. If you're a bartender, if you may have done that, right? You may have worked in a restaurant. So many people do when they're younger, right? That's a nice way to kind of start, get through high school, college, and spending money, right? First time you get a tip, you go, this is a pretty good system. I like this, right? And you get to keep it all. In a system where it would go to a service charge, the servers and bartenders don't get to keep it. That now goes to the company or to the restaurant, to the bar, and they have to use that to cover the higher costs. So, it's interesting, when things come at you and the people who are in the industry say, we don't want this, that's what this case is, right? And you'll see that, I know you showed the information from One Fair Wage. We now have a special website up called Protect Tips Ohio. People can go there and see the facts, and everything that we're presenting is coming from the owners, the operators, the servers, the bartenders, people who work in the industry, asking us to represent them.
And I've watched the video produced by the Ohio Restaurant and Hospitality Alliance. You have servers in there saying, don't mess with our tips, sort of this idea and this message. John, in full disclosure, I have asked for an interview with One Fair Wage. We're still waiting to hear back on that. I'm going to give you the final word here. We've got a few months. There's a lot of work that has to be done by One Fair Wage if they're going to get this on the ballot. We'll wait and see how much of that work has been accomplished. You get the final word. What will the Ohio Restaurant Alliance be doing in the coming months, and what message are you trying to send to the people who go out and the people who go to restaurants and the people who tip?
Yeah, listen to your servers, listen to the people who are being potentially impacted by this, and they'll tell you. In fact, you'll see them starting the campaign. They'll be the ones out talking in restaurants. They'll be on social media. They'll be the ones talking about this. And so that's what really matters in something like this. They're going to ask voters to respect their position on this. The reason we're in this industry, we like to take care of people. We love to have that servant kind of mentality. That's the reason we're in it. That allows us to kind of earn a much higher income and have a flexible work. When some people make it a career. We have some restaurant servers who are making six figures. I mean, it can be a very nice living for people. And again, we think this is one of those ideas in search of a problem. And what we're told, again, by servers and bartenders and the operators is, don't let this happen. So that's what we're working on.
And John, let me be devil's advocate, though. Have you not heard from any servers or bartenders who said, man, I'm tired of $5.25 an hour. I would like to see $10.45 an hour in my check?
Yeah, so interestingly, they are guaranteed the minimum wage, the state minimum wage. So if they get no tips, they get $10.45. That's a state law. So that's another misnomer. One Fair Wage says this is a sub-minimum wage, that they're locked into this $5.45. They're not. It's just not true. And you know that if you just read the law. So they're already locked at $10.45, and they're guaranteed that, right? What they want to protect, what the servers want to protect, is that ability to go above $10.45 significantly, right? And again, what you make is dependent on, if you work at a little mom and pop diner in a small town, you might make a little bit less in tips. But if you work at a nice fine dining restaurant in downtown Cleveland, you're probably making $60, $70 an hour, and they'll tell you that.
Very interesting debate. We're going to keep our eye on it heading towards the November ballot. John Barker with the Ohio Restaurant and Hospitality Alliance. Certainly appreciate your time and your perspective on the issue.
Thank you for covering this. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Take care. We're going to wrap this up again. If we do hear today from the One Fair Wage group, still waiting to get an email back from them if they'd like to sit down and do an interview with us on this same topic to get their perspective. That's how we are fair and balanced. And we will bring that to you as well here on our digital properties and our early newscast. Anything else breaks, any other weather or news, it'll be right here on our digital properties. Our noon news set to get underway in just 4 minutes on Channel 19. Until then, I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News. Have a great afternoon.
19 News is everywhere. Download our